Alright, so starting with, we will be using a drafting paper with the IP curve ruler, tape measure, a pen, and of course, a scissor. So to start with, because imagine this is your paper, so you see how the paper is unfold. So I'm going to find this part. You want to find the middle part of your pattern, and then you want to label center front, capital CF. This is the center front, and all right. So we are going to start from the top with that paper, and we're going to measure it down to 25. I'm going to put a marking right there, and okay. So I'm going to name it left of the skirt. Okay. I'm also going to go down 1 inch down. Okay, so for 1 inch down, this would be for the hem of the skirt. I'm going to name it hemline. Okay, I'm going to draw a line to the side, to the side. Okay, so going back to the top of the paper, I'm going to measure down 8.5. So you want to find 8.5 on your tape measure. Put a marking. This will be to create the dart of the skirt. Okay, so we're going to go 8.5 as the paper line, and then we are going to connect because we want to have a line from the dart, so we know where it is. Okay, so we're going to measure with the hip first. Okay, so now going back to the top of the paper, this will be the waist. Right, so already now I'm working with waist of 36 inches, and 36 inches divided by 4 will give us 9. So I'm going to find 9 and put a marking. Another thing I'm going to do is make it 9.5 because I'm still going to make some adjustments and markings. Okay, so I'm going to take 9.5 and then trace it down to the hip point, and also at the hip point is also going to measure for 9.5 because whatever we do for the top, we want to make sure that is the same thing that we're doing on the bottom part. Okay, so nothing is off or crooked, especially knowing that once a marking is off, it will completely throw your dress off. Okay, so going back to the top of the skirt, we're going to divide the 9.5 into 2, actually the 9 into 2, which is going to give us 4.5. So I'm going to find 4.5, make a marking, and also I'm going to draw a line for the 4.5, again back to the to the hip line. Okay, so to make sure that my marking is correct, you always want to check it, double check your markings to make sure everything is accurate, especially you have the time to do so on the drafting paper. So we've connected it. This is the dart line. Now I'm going to go with 0.5 to the left, 0.5 to the right. So what I'm going to do with these two markings, I plan on connecting it to the hip point line. But what I'm going to do is creating a triangular shape going inward because we don't want it to be exactly the same. We just need to make the waist part smaller than the hip. So we want to trace the dart lines inward going to the hip point line. The same thing over here. You do the same thing to the left, hip point coming in. Okay, so you see how it goes in. It started out big and then it goes smaller. Okay, so next up, I'm going to find my hip marking. So I'm working with a hip marking of 45. Okay, so 45 divided by 2 will give us 22.5 because that's 45 divided by 4. So I'm going to take my tape measure again, starting from the center front. starting from the center front, I'm going to mark for 11.5. Okay, 11.5 will be the hip line, because when we open up the paper, it's going to give us 23. All right, so I'm going to mark 11.5. Again, trace it back, put a line right there, put a line all the way down, or you can just go to the length, the bottom of the skirt, look for 11.5, put a marking right there, and you want to connect the lines going back to the top as well. Okay, you can do the same for the top line if you want, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to just put a line right there. Okay, so we have the hip measurements. So what I'm going to do with this hip line, you want to add an inch for sewing allowance. Okay, we always want to add 1 inch, or depending on what you're working with, it can be 2. But for this project, we're going to do 1 inch additional to the hip line. So we're going to measure 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. We don't really need it for the bottom, but eventually everything will all add up. Okay, take your ruler. In this case, I'm using the tape measure. But take your ruler and then connect your lines, your dots, however you choose to make your markings. Okay, so we're almost there. So for the waistline, we want to you want to grab your curved ruler. Okay, so we want to go back to the center front of our dafting paper, and then you want to measure down 0.5. Okay, put a marker for 0.5. And then what we plan to do with this, because the body is never straight, is very curvy. So what we want to do is to create a curved shape from the center front top to the side of your skirt. Remember, this is just the front side of your skirt. This is just the front. So you measure the 0.5 down in the front part, and you take your curved ruler, and you want to create you a curvy shape at the top of your skirt, like so. Okay, so once you have that created, next up we are going to take a curved ruler again. You want to place it right at the hip line. Okay, you want to go to the top right at the hip line. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to go to the additional 1 inch that we created, and that's what I'm going to cut out. I'm not going to start it exactly at the number 11.5. I'm going to go to 12.5, just so I have room. Imagine if I'm transferring this pattern paper to the real fabric. I want to have room for errors and mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to go to the top. You place your curve ruler, and then you place your marking. You place your marking all the way to the down part of the skirt. Remember, you go to the hemline, just like that. So what we're going to do now is trace out all the markings and cut out the skirt. And remember, this is just the front part of the skirt, so we haven't even cut the back. Okay, so remember, we have the hip point, we have the hip, we have the hemline, we have the darts area.
By creating an imaginary
Alright, so
picture.
you can see I have
Usually
everything
it's
cut
something that
out
moves.
now. Alright, so this is the hemline, which when we are done, we are going to fold it in like that and hem it either with thread and needle or by itself. Alright, so remember, and also depends on the length that you're working with. But for the most part, this is the front part, and then we are going to do, see, when you open it up, this is what you have. And you can transfer, you can place it on your fabric. But yeah, if you have any questions, don't forget to ask your questions, comment, and until next time, thank you for watching. For the easier method to get the back part, you want to place your front skirt, again, fold your pattern paper into two like we did for this one, and then you place the front pattern and place on top of the other pattern. Now what you want to do is to add 1 to 2 inches additional, so you want to make sure that the pattern paper is the same as this one, and then you extend the back part 2 inches out, so you have extra 2 inches just like this. So you want your pattern for the back just to be 2 more, you just want to have 2 more inches, so you can just place it like this and then make sure you have 2 inches out like this. And then what this is going to do is will be for your zipper. The additional fabric is for your zipper area, okay? And so